It's been an explosive year in Walford.
Henry Kofi Asare was my father.
Get your filthy hands off me!
We've had confessions.
Because I raped her.
I did it. I killed Keanu Taylor.
Obsessions.
I want more. She's addictive.
So you do want her?
That's the reason I slept with Junior. That's the reason this whole thing started.
You know, sometimes I'm in bed with Junior. I close my eyes and I think it's bullshit.
But now the votes are in.
Welcome to the Albert Square After Dark Awards for 2024. Greetings, EastEnders fans, and welcome to the Albert Square After Dark Awards for 2024. Ooh, you have been voting in your hundreds, possibly thousands, for this year's awards. 2024, Ree, it's been quite a year, hasn't it?
It has, definitely has been.
Busy old year.
When we were thinking of all the nominations, we were like, wow, quite a lot's happened this year, hasn't it?
It's been a busy old year. Can you believe this is our second award show? This is how long we've been doing this podcast for now. It's our second award show. It's good, isn't it?
Soz. Yeah,
Soz.
Look at us. Look at us being consistent, Rob.
Always amazes us, however long. From here, it'll just stun us every single day how long we've been doing this for.
Yeah, it will. It really will.
There we go. So, you know why you're here. You want to know the results, and we have the results here for every single category. We should go through each one. We should give you the top three, and then we will announce the winner. But first of all, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the Platinum Star Award. So each and every week we give out a gold star each. This is to a character that has stood out to us that week. And at the end of every single year, that character who received the most gold stars will receive the Albert Square After Dark Platinum Star Award. Honestly, we don't just throw this together. There's a reason to our madness.
Who knew?
It's like a Blue Peter badge, Ree, this Platinum Star. It's a great honour.
It's like an Albert Square After Dark
Oscar
badge.
Yeah, yes, it really is.
Blue Peter badge, yes.
So, ladies and gents, the top three characters for the most golden stars given throughout 2024 in joint third position with 5 stars each are Denise, Cindy, and Elaine. In second place with 6 stars was Suki. And in first place with a pretty mammoth 8 stars throughout the year was Yolandi Truman. There you go. I mean, Yolandi
well deserved.
Totally well deserved, right? Yolandi had such an amazing period. Probably around, was it the middle of the year that the assault storyline happened and everything? And,
yeah, roughly.
And how amazing was Angela Winter throughout every single second of that? I think that was the main pull of it.
Yeah, like she's been phenomenal this year, Angela Winter.
There was
she really has,
Yeah. There was a few weeks, I think, where she received both of our stars, and we try and kind of vary.
Yeah, there were. We were like, no, she's got to get a double star this week. Yeah, so,
absolutely. So,
and very well deserved.
Absolutely. So the winner of the Albert Square Platinum Star for 2024 was Yolandi Truman, and very, very well deserved. We move on now to Best Performance.
So, the nominees for Best Performance in no particular order are Angela Winter, Balvinda Sopel, and Kelly Bright. And the winner with a staggering 33.2% is Kelly Bright.
Yeah, wow.
There you go, Rob.
I mean, hard to argue with that, really. I think Kelly Bright has played an utter blinder being an alcoholic, hasn't she? It's been
and you know
pretty
what?
Stunning.
She wasn't even in our top 3 gold stars, actually, Kelly Bright.
No, she wasn't.
What were we playing at?
I know this is the thing, right? We have clearly. I think the Gold Star is a different sort of
Yeah, I
beast
was just
to
thinking that though. Yeah, because it's
best
not for like best
performance.
acting, is it?
No,
Golden
although I feel
Star.
like in Yolandi's case, it probably was in many ways. It's
Well,
interesting, isn't it, the
yeah,
way it sort of plays
yeah,
out like that. But Kelly Bright has been absolutely stunning, right? She has
yes,
knocked everything that she was given out of the park. Linda's alcoholism storyline has been so sort of difficult, and it's been really weird because it's actually been really difficult, but at times genuinely funny and kind of
yeah,
upsetting. And it's just the whole range of emotions that you can give to an alcoholic
yeah.
storyline. It's been amazing.
Exactly. She's so good. She's
She's
so
so
good at
good.
acting drunk as
She's
well.
so
Like it's not an easy thing to do, and
no,
she's just so
convincingly.
good at doing it. Yeah, very
It
convincing.
really is. I mean,
Very
I
so.
thought this year, I've said, and I will argue this point quite happily that I genuinely think that that Linda as a character has really come into her own since Mick left. To be perfectly honest with you, I do
Yeah,
think
and to
that. I
think we were
do.
all worried. What on earth's Linda
Yeah,
going to do without
yeah.
Mick?
Oh, I'll tell you what she's going
Quite
to
a
do.
lot.
She's gonna kill Kiani. She's going to become. She's going to have a nervous breakdown with alcoholism and nearly die. And she's just going to have a very, very busy year. That's what she's going to do. And it's been stunning to watch. I genuinely believe that Kelly Bright is probably one of the greatest actors in EastEnders, like as in terms of
Yeah,
like
she
in
is.
its history. She is up there.
She
She's
is
absolutely
incredibly good.
brilliant. So yeah, fair play to her. Right, ladies and gents, the next award is for Best Villain. Okay, the top three, in no particular order, for Best Villain are Cindy Beale, Eddie Knight, and Nish Panesar. And coming in with 74.6% of the vote is Nish Panesar. I mean, how can he
It
not,
had to
right?
be. It
Had
had
to
to
be.
be this year.
Yeah.
100%. There was no one else it could have been.
And what a villain Nish has been, I think, because it's very hard sometimes, I think, with villains to give them a convincing motive for how they behave, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you've got like a serial killer or something on the show. Like it's sort of you sort of just roll your eyes and think, oh, okay, that person was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But what Nish actually did, I think, was come across as somebody who was controlling, but you understood his motivations. You didn't like them.
Yeah.
They were warped and messed up, but you understood why he was doing what he did, and you understood what he was doing. Because you understand those sorts of people. Because I think we have all met a Nish at some point in our lives, and it's never a
I mean,
pleasant
not
experience.
quite to the extent
Not
of
to that
Nisha. I
extent.
don't think I've. Yeah.
I've never been thrown off a
To lesser
balcony. I'll give him
extent.
that.
No,
No,
certainly
not
not. Or
yet.
poisoned.
Hey, the year's young.
Or
The year is young.
God, it is very young.
Very young. Yes. Who knows? But yeah, and I thought Navin Chowdhury, awesome as Nish, like fantastic
Yeah,
performance, and Nish has been a
100%.
great villain.
Yeah, well, very well deserved. Couldn't have
Yeah.
gone to anyone else, I don't think, this year.
No, absolutely not. Right, ladies and gents, the next award is for Best Storyline.
The top three nominees for Best Storyline were Yolanda's sexual abuse, Linda hits rock bottom, and The Sixth Fallout. And the winner with 24.5% of the votes was Yolanda's sexual abuse.
Interesting. I mean, do you know what? The one thing that's disappointed me about this year is that in award shows and everything, you know, the soap awards, the NTAs and everything, Angela Winter hasn't actually received any sort of like the big award shows. Angela Winter somehow has like always just slipped through the net of getting the awards that she so deserves. So to have that win Best Storyline, I mean, it's up there surely with the Oscars and the NTAs, right?
No, like legit though. Like she really hasn't got enough credit for what she's done for last year.
Yeah.
Hopefully she might get
absolutely.
some recognition this year. We've got the Soap Awards.
Yeah.
Have we got the Soap Awards this year?
I think we have got the
Think we
Soap
have.
Awards this year. Yes,
Hopefully that's where she's gonna, get all
Sweep
of the
the
awards.
board.
But then again, she's up against Kelly Bright as well, so who knows, Rob?
Indeed. But I tell you what, I mean, that abuse storyline,
Yes.
it was great because I also kind of thought that the whole point of the story was just the frustration around reporting sexual assault and the justice behind sexual assault. It seemed right from the start that that's what the story was about. Rather, yes, we studied Yolandi's journey and what Yolandi went through during that moment, and Angela Winter was incredible throughout it. But I always felt that the story was more about victims as a whole and sort of like how sexual abuse can go on and sexual assault can go on for years and years and years unpunished, like just unstoppable, basically.
Yeah. And how you might not be believed. I mean, he had a certain demographic that he went for, didn't he,
Yeah,
Pastor Gideon Clayton? So
yeah, indeed.
that can prevent you from getting any justice as well. So, yeah. Talking of which, he was in the best villain nominations that we put up and he didn't get anything, did he?
It's interesting
Gideon
that,
Clayton. It
isn't it?
wasn't in the top
Because
three.
yeah, it's interesting because I always it's like what does a soap viewer want from a villain to see? Like, what do you consider to be a villain, and what do you consider to be somebody who is just a horrible, horrible person that's there for a specific reason? I'd say maybe a villain is somebody who has got more than one story about them. Like Clayton was brought in to do this and only this, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. True. Yeah.
but I also thought it was interesting the way that Clayton's exit happened, because I know a lot of people were really frustrated and kind of like, oh, is that how you're doing it? That's not the way I wanted it to go, with him committing suicide. And I understand that completely, but I think I also get that these people so often are utter cowards and they don't want to face up to what they've done. And I feel like so many assault victims and rape victims have to deal with the fact that that person will never receive full justice for what they've done. It seemed like
Yeah.
quite a realistic way for it to go, I thought.
Yeah. And then the survivors are then not receiving their closure
Yeah,
because of it as well. Yeah.
yeah.
Which is realistic. It is.
Mm.
I mean, I think it would have been a bit more controversial though as well from EastEnders to have taken it to court and for them to not get the justice in that way. As
Yeah,
realistic as that would be,
yeah.
it would be quite a controversial thing to put out there because then would they be at risk of sending out the message that even if you do report it, they're not going to get sent down for it anyway, so don't bother.
And yet
That
it's
might have been the message that would get sent out with
yeah.
that
And yet
outcome.
at the same time, that is kind of how it is if you look at the statistics.
It
So it's like,
is, but
what
you
do you
also
do?
don't. They also don't want to discourage people from reporting these things by showing, well, you're going
Yeah,
to report it and that'll be the outcome. So,
yeah,
in a lot of ways, it was kind of the best way to go with it. I
yeah,
think, in
yeah,
a lot of ways, as
yeah.
frustrating as it is to see, but
Yeah, but
yeah,
again, that frustration I think was the gas of the story. Like that's what it was about. Like the frustration and that sort of
yeah,
feeling of, is anything going to be able to be done about this? That was the story, and I thought actually that came across really well within the writing and the story and the performances themselves. I thought they did really, really well with that, and worthy of the award.
agreed. And the next award is for best partnership.
So the top three nominees for Best Partnership are Patrick and Yolandi, Ravi and Priya, and Eve and Suki. And the winner with 57.9% of the vote,
Wow.
Eve and Suki. I mean, are we surprised, really? Of course
No,
we're
we're
not. The
not
Suki
surprised.
fans are a dedicated bunch. And do you know what? I get it, because actually, Heather Peace and Balvinda Sopal are fantastic together. They work really, really well.
They are good. They are a great partnership, so
Yeah,
I'm actually not surprised that they've won.
no.
Even if you're not a big Suki fan, they are a great partnership. So
Yeah, and I don't
makes
actually
sense.
I don't see a huge amount online of people that aren't like, that are against Suki and Eve together either. I
Yeah.
think sometimes with pairings like that, you get people that just want to go against the grain and say, but actually, I don't see a
Oh
lot of
well.
that with Suki and Eve. I think they're a pretty
If only
popular couple.
Nish was let loose on a keyboard in 2024, then we would
What
have
would he
seen a
have
lot of
said?
people.
Yeah, exactly. So the question now is: now Nish is dead, where do you see Suki and Eve going from here? Happiness, dare we say? Dare we argue?
I mean, come on, they've got to, right? For even if it's just for a couple of months, because I can't be bothered to watch them suffering with anything else, if I'm honest with you.
I
But
think
obviously they're gonna have to.
it's a soap, isn't it? But you also got to think, after everything they've gone through to get where they are now, they're now married. We are looking at Suki and Eve Panasar Unwin. All right, so
You know what?
surely
I wouldn't be surprised if Nish has left a couple of little surprises from beyond the grave,
in a
like
will or
all lined
something.
up.
Yeah, maybe.
Something somewhere, like he planned Suki and him to have a joint funeral.
Yeah,
That would have been past him beyond the grave. Sorry, I can't get my words out. So yeah, has he got something else lined up that we don't know about? Maybe he'd set, for all we know, he might have set Nugget as some other little mission
he might
whilst
have
they were
done.
meeting up with him. I won't be surprised by that.
No. So you think his influence will continue for quite a few months to come yet?
There's potential. There's
There is
definitely
indeed.
potential.
I would like to see them explore Eve's history a little bit, and sort of because we've had some indications this like the past couple of months that she's started communicating with her parents again for the first time in years. So I'd quite like to meet them and sort of see and study their
Which,
relationship.
ironically, was thanks to Nish having her mum beat
Yeah,
up.
exactly. So what
Yeah.
a nice bloke, right?
Yeah, exactly.
nice man.
At least he
Caring
reunited
Nish.
Eve with her parents.
Yeah,
There you
exactly.
go.
And as well as that, they also seem to be hinting about the Suki and Ash relationship. Like, are we going to study that a little bit more? Are we going to see Ash
No.
again? I don't know.
No. I think I think it's gone now. We know that she obviously knows about Suki and Eve. Surely she would have come back for the wedding if she were going to come back. That
But
would
why
have been
didn't
the
she? This is the
most.
thing. So that's clearly an unspoken thing between mother and daughter that I think I don't think we'd ever have Ash back full time. I don't think she needs to come back full time. But I would like to see her come back for maybe a couple of episodes just to have that conversation, considering how much like Suki gave Ash in terms of like about her own sexuality when she was in fact going through some internalized homophobia at the time. I'd quite like Ash to be able to stand up and say, "You are a hypocrite, and how dare you treat me like that when you knew that this was where you wanted to be? Like,
Yeah,
what's wrong?" You know,
I think we all still need that moment, but I just don't see it happening. I don't know why. I just don't feel like
see.
Ash is ever going to come back. But yeah, I could eat my words. Maybe we might have a recast. I've no idea.
Who knows?
I won't be against that.
We shall see. Right, ladies and gents, next award is Best Episode.
In no particular order, the nominees for Best Episode were Patrick and Yolanda's Two-Hander, What If Linda Died, and The Knights Discover George's Heritage. And the winner with 20.6% of the votes was What If Linda Died.
I'm surprised, actually. It was a good episode.
We were very surprised at this, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here slagging the episode off. It was a very,
No,
very
no,
strong
not at all.
episode. Really powerful.
We were just surprised it won the
won.
votes, weren't we? Yeah, we
I
thought it
know.
might have been a different one.
Again, I think this is because Kelly Bright won the best performance. So I think that together
Yeah.
it was very sort of a powerful episode, even though Linda was dead for most of that episode in theory. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it,
yeah.
yeah.
Like, oh,
But
yeah.
but it was as a result of, the big old Linda storyline. So, and it was a really powerful way to examine like the what if scenario. And it was interesting, like how long ago those pictures were released of the supposed funeral.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, like how people quite quickly worked out what that was going to be about when they saw those pictures.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like, well, where's Linda? Oh, Lee and Nancy are there. So clearly this is supposed to be a Linda type funeral, but we don't know. We've never heard that Kelly Bright's leaving the show. So
We all knew deep down that she weren't leaving. We're like, surely not. No way. And for her to go in that, well, it would be realistic for her to go in that way, but it wouldn't feel
sadly,
right
yeah.
to us, would it?
Yeah, it would sadly be quite realistic.
Yeah.
I do want to have a shout out to the Knights Discover George's Heritage though, because I genuinely think that was one of the best episodes in the show's history. I really would like the
Definitely.
strength of that episode in the performances. The script was incredibly adult and mature and hard hitting. And was so what EastEnders is about, just like those really in-depth, small cast, deep character studies. But I didn't just vote. It was all of you lovely people, and you decided What If Linda Died was the best episode of 2024, and fair play to it, I say.
And the next award is for Best Writer.
So the top 3 nominees for Best Writer were Brian Kirkwood, Lauren Klee, and Simon Ashdown. And the result is, with 42.6% of the votes, it's Mr. Simon Ashdown. Actually, one of Simon Ashdown's bigger years in terms of the amount of scripts he's written for the show. He's written 10, I think, this year, which is the most he's written in quite a number of years since he was the series consultant back in sort of the Deirdre Santa years onwards. So it's fair to say Simon Ashdown is properly full on like part of the writing team, which is good. And his episodes are always the ones that you sort of think, oh, Simon Ashdown episode, that means something big's going to kick off. And quite rightly, he's very good at that sort of thing, isn't he?
They always have a lot of character depth
Yes.
an Ashdown episode. You know that's what you can expect.
Yeah.
Yes. And a lot of answers usually.
Yes. Oh, and a lot of questions starting up as well. Like
Well, and that, yes.
it's interesting that they'll sort of give writers like specific storylines. Like Simon Ashdown has been quite instrumental in the Cindy Junior George type storyline. Lauren Clee
Yes.
was quite heavily involved in everything to do with Yolandi and everything like
Yeah.
and all that sort of thing. And Brian Kirkwood's scripts, I mean, I always think are an absolute treat whenever they appear on the screen because they are very funny usually. He's normally I think it's fair to say that Brian Kirkwood is the filthiest writer on the EastEnders writing team because a lot of his episodes have got jokes where you think, how did they get that through the net? That's decent. But they're really, really strong, and it's sort of like, yeah, that's an old exec producer. Yeah, fair play to you. But Simon Ashdown, I love his scripts, I love his episodes, and I hope we see much more of him in 2025. And talking of what we want to see much more of in 2025, the next award is character we want to see more of this year.
So the top 3 nominees were Felix Baker, Jay Brown, and Priya Nandra Hart. And the winner with 58.5% of the votes, Priya Nandra Hart. I mean, not surprising.
Yeah, I mean, Priya is ridiculously popular. Like, people love Priya.
Good, it's justified. She's
She's an amazing character. She is an amazing character, isn't she? And she is so layered in what she can do. Like someone like Priya, you could give a super bitch story to, but you can also give her emotional depth, like when she's talking to Nugget or Ravi or something like that.
Yeah.
And you can give her the comedy stuff as well. She's a really funny character.
And it's funny because sometimes we compare her to Janine, but then when you're saying the emotional depth, that's not something we'd necessarily get from someone like Janine. But Priya gives us that.
I'd argue that you do get emotional depth with Janine when she's done right. I think it's very easy.
Yeah, but it's not as common as not as frequently as you'd get with Priya, I wouldn't say. But then again, obviously, they were different in many ways as well.
They are, because it's interesting. When Priya first arrived, I was like, oh, we got a new Janine here. Oh, this is interesting. But actually, after 2024, it's kind of like, oh, actually, no, you're not. You're a lot softer than Janine. Like there's still a brittleness to you, there's a hardness to you, there's a grittiness to you, but you are not the super bitch who doesn't care about anybody. Like there was those moments when she was going after Nish, and you could sort of see that's something that Janine would do with her eyes shut.
Janine
you know
all
what I mean?
over.
Yeah,
exactly.
Completely.
Yeah.
But also Priya was doing that for her family and was doing it for fairly selfless reasons. And actually, you especially have looked at Priya and thought, well, she's a great mum, and nobody would ever accuse Janine Butcher of being a good mum.
Exactly.
A million years.
But you know what? I'll be honest. Only because I feel like we've seen Priya a bit more recently. I was thinking that Felix might have won that vote.
Yeah, I mean,
and again, Felix, we had him last year in this nomination, in this category. Come on, what is Felix even doing?
He made the top 3.
I know, and I know it's important, like you said, to have these community characters. But like this time last year, Bernie was up there. We've used her, and she's still a community character. It is time for Felix to get a proper storyline.
So. Yeah. I mean, it's for Priya, Felix and Jay to be the top 3 out of all the characters that were in the category. Jay, he is. I agree with Jay. Actually, I think Jay needs to be doing more. I mean, obviously, he had a huge year last year with the Lola stuff. He's had a much quieter year this year. We've seen nothing of him and Lexi for months and months and months. I can't remember the last time we saw Lexi. To be fair,
I think not that I think it needed it, but I think Lexi's going to come back as a recast.
Oh, do you think?
Because usually,
Lexi?
Yeah. I think when they do this with kids in particular, when they have this long of a break, they usually come back as a new person. And like I say, I don't think that they need to recast Lexi at all. But I
wonder if that's what's going on.
Tingling that's what's happening. Yeah,
maybe we'll have to wait and see what 2025 brings. But yeah, Priya, Nandra Hart. I suspect that they know how popular Priya is. All right, because the internet goes insane whenever Priya breathes. So they know what we want to see. So I am expecting 2025 to be a much bigger year for Priya, but we shall have to wait, especially with the choice that is coming with Denise and Ravi. We know that Priya is still harbouring feelings for Ravi. Is more of Priya's bitchy side going to come out? Is she going to get into a sort of feud with Denise? Is that where this is going to go, possibly?
Potentially, but I'm now wondering. It all kind of depends on where things go with Nugget, because if Nugget
Yes.
ends up acting up, I actually think the opposite, and then she might just start resenting Ravi for not helping out more because
Mm,
he's going to be too distracted. So it could go one of two ways, but I think
yeah.
it's safe to say we're definitely going to be seeing a lot more of her this
And
year, which is
bring
great.
that on. Right, ladies and gents, the next category is for best newcomer. The top 3 nominees for best newcomer are Kojo Asaray, Teddy Mitchell, and Nicola Mitchell. And with 45.4% of the vote, I think with no surprise, is Nicola Mitchell, who has come in like a hurricane, right?
Like a wrecking ball,
Like a wrecking
as
ball.
Miley Cyrus might say. Yes.
Indeed. Nicola is a fascinating character. She actually is what I think we were thought we might be getting with Priya when she first arrived, but I think we're fairly sure that
Yes.
actually Nicola is going to be filling that role. She's got a bit of a super bitch vibe about her, hasn't she?
Yeah, she seems quite tough. Like she
Yeah.
won't take any prisoners.
No.
She
Tough.
doesn't seem like somebody who'd feel any guilt about any like doing
No.
anything at
Tough.
all.
Ruthless.
Yeah,
I think
ruthless. That's the word I was looking
yeah.
for.
I mean, I
Ruthless.
think when
Yes.
you are at a stage where you are handing Phil alcohol because it works for you for him to get drunk, then that's the kind of person that we're dealing with Nicola.
Yeah,
She's
I
going to
don't
do
even think
anything.
Priya would stoop that low.
No,
If
I
I'm
don't think
honest
she
with
would
you.
actually.
No.
And it's going to be really fascinating to sort of see what 2025 holds for Nicola. The way that
Mm.
she's come in, I mean, not many new characters get like 3 duffs in their first week. That's rare.
No.
So
Yes.
they've clearly got plans for Nicola, and I think 2025 will be a big, big year for Nicola, which is going to be interesting to see.
But what will they have planned, Rob? Come on, tell me.
Well,
What do you
Ree,
think? Go on.
I think that this is you had a theory that Barney would turn out to be Zach's from the history that she has
Oh
with
yeah, I
Zach.
totally forgot about all that. We've
Yeah,
not seen Barney for a while, so
we
I forgot.
haven't.
Oh, okay.
I think
Yeah,
that
so you
that's
think
going to
that's
be
all going to
because
be revealed?
they've got this history that we don't really know what went on between Zach and Nicola. So that's presumably going to be revealed in the coming months. And when we find out what that is, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's going to be revealed that Barney is Zach's. And what chaos is that going to cause within the new Mitchell family? And Nicola won't give
Yeah.
us shiny shite.
No, she'll
No,
not. She'll just
no,
think, well, Teddy, you've moved on. I don't
yeah,
care. So, when will it? How will it come out, though? Do you reckon? You got
messily.
any? I said messily.
Yes, very, very messily.
I'm wondering if maybe Barney will get ill or something, and then they'll
Ooh,
do some kind of
some
test to see if
prove
you
his
know
genes.
they need some
Yeah,
blood or maybe need a bit
yeah.
of his liver or something.
Maybe that's a quite soapy way of doing it. Yeah, you could be
Mm,
right. You could be right.
yeah.
But I suspect that 2025 is going to be a big old year for old Nick. So let's see what that brings.
And now the next award is for best family. Top 3 nominees for the best family were the Mitchells, the Panesars, and the Slaters. And coming in at number 1 with 47.4% of the vote, that's quite a lot,
That's quite a lot.
is the Panesars.
Wow.
Of course.
I mean, they've had a
Yeah.
big year, haven't they? They've had a
A
really,
very
really
big
big
year.
year. And I agree. I love the Panesars. I think they are such a strong family unit, and they have become so much stronger in this era. You know, with the addition of Ravi and Priya and Nugget and Avani, it's really added some interesting layers to them. Especially seeing as though their original unit has been so heavily depleted.
Right? I mean, the
Like
original unit, what was Ash,
Ash,
Jags,
Kirat,
Vinny,
Jags.
Kirat, and
Yeah,
Suke, the 5
yeah.
of them. Yeah.
One of them's left. One of them's in prison. One of them's dead.
Yeah.
Like
Out
it's
of the 5, there's only 2 left.
yeah. So it
But
was a
then,
family. Yeah,
yeah,
it was a
a
family
lot
that
more have
really needed
joined.
adding to. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think all of the new additions to it have been fantastic, and I love all of them.
hmm
So it's like I say, it's going to be really interesting to sort of see where they go from here because since these new additions come in, and Nish is included in that, it feels like Nish has been around for
hmm
years and years and years, but he was also a new character within this era, and
Yeah.
he has been so instrumental in most of what's gone on with the Panesars since he arrived. But it's now going to be interesting to sort of see how they cope without him, which with such a
Mm.
negative influence is a kind of weird thing to say, but it's how do they deal with that freedom? thus far, not well, it would seem, especially with Nugget, you know?
No.
So,
I've got a feeling about Nugget, you know. I think he's
yeah,
going to go down the wrong path after all this. It's all going to
might do.
go,
Horribly, horribly
yeah,
wrong.
a bit west. I wonder, you know, are we going to have to start calling them the Panisar slash Galatis slash Unwins
Slash
soon?
Unwins. It's going to be a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? I think we might stick with Panesars for
Yeah.
now,
Should we
but
just
we'll
stick
see.
with Panisars?
Stick with
All right.
Panesars for now. But the Slaters and the Mitchells too. I mean, I think the Slaters are just a popular family in general and will always be up there, as would the Mitchells. The Mitchells have had additions added to them this year, so that's
Yeah.
probably, something to do with it. The Slaters, I think, have had a quieter year in all fairness, haven't they?
That's what I was going to say. They've not really had that much going on for once, the Slaters. I mean, they even had a pretty quiet Christmas for them, didn't
They
they?
did. They didn't. They weren't even.
Yeah.
They weren't even out of house and home. They normally are around
No,
Christmas time.
they were just a bit skint this year,
Yeah.
not homeless.
Yeah.
So,
Stacey, all she had was a little bit of heartbreak. That's a good Christmas for
yeah.
Stace. Great
Yeah, that is
Christmas.
actually
That's one of her
brilliant.
best in
Brilliant.
years.
It
Didn't see
is.
any death, didn't see anybody fall off the Vic, didn't murder anybody. She had a cracking Christmas.
But a New Year's Day weren't as great. Her best mate
No.
did
Well,
get
yeah.
poisoned, and then her
Again,
best mate's
someone
wife
someone
got
fell off
thrown
a
off
roof. It's a
balcony.
thing.
Yeah.
Stacey should not be allowed anywhere near anything that involves a
She's a
roof.
jinx. She's a
She is.
curse.
She's terrible. It's terrible, terrible curse. Ladies and gentlemen, the penultimate award is Best Return. So, Best Return, and this was the closest vote out of the entire awards, and it's not difficult to see why, because we've had some cracking returns this year. In joint third place, I'm going to read out the actual order for this one. In joint third place was Jane and Chrissy.
Yeah.
In second place was Bianca. And in first place, with 19.5% of the votes, that's how close it was David Wicks. But I think a lot of people struggled to pick a favourite out of the returns this year because there's been so many, and there's more to come, as we well know.
Yes.
And I'd throw Nigel into that top three as well myself, but I think it was maybe a little bit
Same.
late in the process for the returns.
Yeah.
But wow, David was a great return to bring back though. It was a fun week when he came
Yeah.
back, wasn't it?
It was definitely fun. We needed to see David and Cindy reunited, and
Yeah.
boy, have we! And have we seen the repercussions of them having a conversation
Have
one
we?
night or what?
Yeah, I think we have. Yeah, just a
Yeah.
little bit. I mean, just imagine though, in 2024, the credits read David Wicks, Michael French, Cindy Beale, Michelle Collins, Bianca Jackson,
Yeah.
Patsy Palmer. Like, can you imagine that in 2024? Amazing, right? That's
Well
that's
done,
why I love
Glenners, for
this
bringing
era.
everyone back. That's all I'm thinking.
That's why I
'Cause
love this era
you would
so
have.
much.
Yeah, I don't think you would have got it with anybody. Like he's very good at persuading people to come
Yeah,
back.
because why wouldn't you?
Who-
With the strength of that, why wouldn't you? Like,
And who else are we going to see coming up?
I know.
I'm
it could
excited.
be
We know that
absolutely
Grant's
anybody.
coming.
Yeah.
And we're hearing it's going to be quite a good return for Grant as well. Like something major's happening for him to come back. So
Yes. What could it be? I mean, hey, but that's going to be next. That's going to be we'll talk about that maybe at the awards for 2025. But it's going to be interesting.
yes. But as we keep saying as well, we're talking about best returns. I think Bianca's due. I think she could be classed as another return for 2025.
Oh yeah, because the last time we saw her, she was locked up, surrounded by pots of weed. And now we don't know what's become
She's
of her.
got a commode now,
She
Rob.
has.
It's fine. He ordered
And
one, probably
yeah.
from Amazon.com.
And a tuba to play. Imagine
And
if next
tuba.
time we see her, she's been so bored that she's actually become like an orchestral level tuba player.
I reckon she's not even shackled up. Like she's not tied up anymore because she's just accepted her fate and she's just in there tidying around all the things that is hoarded. Probably wearing Debbie's clothes by now. Let's be
Probably.
real, because what else has she got to wear? I don't think she had a puffer jacket in there with her, did she?
No, but maybe she requested it and Reese felt sorry for her and gave it to her on Christmas Day.
Could, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that. We do need to see Bianca though. I do feel like we
Well-
could have done with at least one scene.
One scene on Christmas Day, like he brought her a turkey sandwich or something. and
Yeah,
just chucked it back in his
100%.
face. And then I could have got
Yeah.
all I wanted was flying poultry, even if it had been a
Oh,
turkey
God, yeah, we
sandwich
still
flying in
didn't
Reese's
get it.
face. Wasted. A wasted opportunity.
Very wasted.
But there we go. David Wicks for the best return, and fair play to that. And also, what was nicer in that, we got a brief Joe scene as well, which I don't think a single person on earth ever expected to happen.
Oh no, yeah, of course, we forgot about that. Yeah, I was not expecting that at all. We had those little mystery phone calls that he was
Yeah.
getting that week from Holly, was it?
Yeah. But
Who
then
would
that's
have
also
thought?
been something of this, like, you've got the main return of a character, but then they've kept it quiet. That actually, same with the Chrissy stuff, like massive kind of talk about
Oh
Chrissy coming back,
yeah,
but then you
yeah,
get Jake returning for a little scene as well. Like, it's great. I
yeah.
love those little moments, and there've been so many of
Mhm.
those peppered throughout the year because of the anniversary. And it's so nice that they've gone for the anniversary of being more of a nostalgic look back, because so often with these big anniversaries, you'll get them turning around and saying, yes, there'll be elements of nostalgia, but it's always about looking forward. And it's sort of like, actually, sometimes the viewer just wants to look back and look over the
Yeah.
past history of the show. And that is what this anniversary has been about. And I love it. So, last award, ladies and gentlemen, goes to Best Twist.
So, for the final award of the Albert Square After Dark 2024 awards is the Best Twist, and the nominees are the top three. Sharon and Chrissy are locked up together. Dean confesses to raping Linda, and Eddie murdered George's father. And number one with 34.5% of the votes was Dean's confession to raping Linda.
That's high. That's high for that, isn't
Very
it?
high. Yeah, for that
I can
category.
see that. I can see that. Again, I think it's another thing that people just loved Linda and like loved Linda's story. But actually, when you think about that moment with Dean confessing in court, I remember my jaw hit the floor when it happened, because I just was not expecting him to do that whatsoever, because it was such a
No,
desperate move.
same.
But actually, as well, that moment was like 10 years in the making. From the moment that it happened to Linda actually having him confess that to a room full of people, she's wanted that for so long. Like, yes, they've had moments where Dean has kind of privately said it to her, but it's not exactly the same as an outright confession. So
In a
it
court
was,
of law.
yeah, it was a very earned moment, I think, wasn't it?
It's a shame that the reason why he did it wasn't genuine. It was still for
Yeah.
Dean's own twisted
Oh yeah,
way, weren't it? Where if I'm going to go down for a crime, it's going to be for one that I've committed.
yeah,
That was, I
yeah,
think, his reasoning why he confessed. But
yeah.
do you know what? Ultimately, he did confess. And sadly, it didn't bring Linda the closure that we all thought. It might stop her drinking, but
No,
I guess just because you've got some form of justice doesn't mean that you can undo the damage that was already done to her.
exactly.
So, which has clearly been the case for Linda.
Yeah, the other two, I mean, Sharon and Chrissy are locked up together. I mean, that week was camp, wasn't it? It really was.
It was
And
camp, yeah.
And you could argue, yes, that why would someone like Chrissy end up in the same wing as someone who all she really did was tell a judge to shut up, to shut his face, and stop being such a misogynist. And that's why Sharon was put in contempt and locked up with Chrissy for a week. But who cares?
Do you know what? The prisons in the UK, though, are struggling at the minute. So
Yeah.
perhaps it's not that unrealistic
No, probably
for
not.
2024. Yeah, it was a lovely camp week. It was
It
nice to
was.
see them reunited and have a little bit of closure together.
Yeah. And actually, the
It is what it
parallels
is.
that were managed to be pulled out between the two of them, I thought was amazingly clever. Sharon and Chrissy,
Yes.
like their stories
yeah.
at that moment were so intertwined
Yeah.
without them even realizing. I thought, fair play. That's
There
good
were
writing.
there were quite a lot of comparisons between the six and what
Yeah.
happened with Chrissy, Zoe, and Sam, weren't there?
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
fact, do you reckon we're going to see Michelle Ryan this year?
Who knows? I mean, it's
I think we
always
are, you
been-
know.
Yeah, you reckon this is the year? I mean, if you're going to do it any year, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's always been that absent part of Kat, and she always brings Zoe up every now and again. And normally it's to say, no, we're still not speaking, and then they sort of move on. So it would feel right, I think, because let's be honest, the "You Ain't My Mother" is like one of the iconic moments in EastEnders history. Like everybody, even if you
I
don't,
think it is the most.
one of certainly, yeah, and even if you don't watch EastEnders, you know that moment. You could say "You Ain't My Mother" to somebody
Yeah.
who's never seen a single episode of EastEnders, and they will reply, "Yes, I am."
Yes,
back
I
to
am.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I
exactly.
am.
Yes,
So
I am.
possibly, I think you might be
Nearly
right.
won a Year 7 talent show reenacting that scene. Very nearly.
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 Was it the Sheffield
Runner up.
accent?
I tried my best to do a Cockney one. I'll have you know. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why.
Maybe that's why you
win.
didn't win it.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, hey, Ree, do you know what? Maybe our viewers would have voted for you to win that award if that had been a thing.
Do you know what? I think you all would have. 100%.
I think so.
I would have got
I
100%
think
of
so.
that vote. Mhm.
There you go. But there we go, ladies and gents. That is the awards for this year. Thank you for not only your votes, but for listening to us and watching us throughout the whole of 2024. We love every single one of you. And if you want to get in touch with us, by any means, you can do the following.
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on Twitter and Instagram at E20 After Dark. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple and all your favourite podcast sites. Drop us an email at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by going on buyasacoffee.com. buymeacoffee.com/E20 After Dark.
Buy me a coffee. Oh, buy us a coffee.
I said buy us a coffee.com.
www. So there we go. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And here is to EastEnders' 40th year anniversary. What will 2025 bring? I tell you what it will bring is a brand new era. This time next year we'll be in the Wadey era as well. That's nerve-wracking.
I'm not sure how I feel about it. Let's just have
scary,
some faith,
scary.
right?
Fingers crossed. But 2024, fun year, good year. Those were your awards. Thank you for watching. Until next time, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
See you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.